Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I have been putting off this tag for a very long time. This is the Read Smart tag. And before I get into the details of the tag, I just want to make sure for those who are watching, for those who've watched other versions of this tag, if you want to do this tag, I'm not going to tag anyone, but you don't have to do any of these things it mentioned in the tag. They are not required. You know, maybe you're in school and so maybe some of the prompts in this would help you, but yeah, so I just don't want anyone to think like there's a wrong way to read. I don't know. I wish there was just a different name maybe for this tag. So this tag was created by two booktubers. One, to readers it may concern. The name of their video was So You Want to Be a Serious Reader. I don't think I've ever said that on this channel, so tell me if I have. The other creator is Emmelie from Prose and Petticoats, and she tagged me, and I'm so flattered, and yeah, so thank you so much for tagging me. I've also been tagged by my friend Jay. I'll link to his channel down below, and Joel Swagman, who I haven't heard from for a while. So Joel, thank you so much for tagging me. And Emmelie, the name of Emmeli's video is How to Get the Most Out of Your Reading. And I guess I wish maybe that was the name of the tag, or getting the most out of your reading, that kind of thing. Because I feel like that's more what this is about, whether or not you're a smart reader or not. Like, I just don't know. I struggle with like what the definitions of those things are. But when 3 people tag me in a video, then I feel like, okay, I probably should do this. So question 1, what is your strategy to stay focused and engaged while reading? So I have this wonderful basement library. I share the basement, obviously, and the library with my husband, but he does not come down here as much as he used to, and so this is a really good place for me to read when he's watching a movie, which he's doing right now. Sometimes I'll be reading and he's watching a horror movie and there's like these blood curdling screams. So I don't think there's going to be any of that while I'm filming this video. But yeah, so I try to stay away from distractions. I think some people doing this tag have talked about their phone, and that it's good to, yeah, it's good to have your phone far away. You can't see alerts or messages or anything like that. I think that's a good way of staying focused and engaged. But for me, it's really, I can listen to music, but the music can't have any words. And in general, I do enjoy solitude. So I think for me, that's the best way. Question 2, how does your environment influence your focus, and what can you do to optimize it? I don't read on my phone. I don't read on an e-reader or a tablet. Not yet. The day is coming, don't worry. I can't imagine, I hear people all the time on Booktube talking about their commute and how they listen to audiobooks on their commute, or they read on their commute. And do you know what? I live in such a small place. The commute from my house to my office is somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes. Sometimes less, depending on if we hit more green lights. But yeah, I usually don't get to hear an entire song all the way through. So yeah, it's a very short commute. There's no point really in reading in that, and especially when there's 2 of us in the car. So I think for me, the challenge is just really like movies and TV. I've binge watched some shows this summer for sure. And yeah, we have so many streaming services that there's just so many potential things you could watch. And yeah, so maybe staying away from the TV a little bit more would help me create a better reading environment. Question 3, what methods do you use to retain and recall information from what you've read? Well, I would love to know what methods you use to retain and recall information from what you've read, because I am not so great at this. I occasionally will write a review, like if I'm looking at a book that I read prior to starting my Booktube channel, unfortunately I have 2 Goodreads accounts. Stick to the one that's down below though, please. But if it's a book that I read before I started my channel, I might go and see if I wrote anything about that book. And I may not have, or I may have. One thing that I really count my blessings for is that I had a blog when I was reading the bulk of the Pulitzer Prize winners for fiction. I called it the Pulitzer Project, and I did have a blog, and before I took the blog down, I copied what I had written about all the books and saved it. And so periodically, if someone brings up like an older Pulitzer winner or it's impossible to remember the plot and details of every Pulitzer winner, at least for me. So I'm really glad that I have that. Of course, there's a gap from 2010 to 2018 in which I was reading Pulitzer Prize novels, but not talking to anyone. Like, I don't have anything recorded on a blog because the blog was gone, and I didn't have this channel, and so I couldn't talk about some of those books here. So yeah, so it's a bit of a struggle, but I would like to get better because reviews are really the strong point of my channel. I wish I made more reviews. I definitely am being more intentional when I read a book and I know I'm going to review it. I try to be more conscientious of that, but honestly, I need to take notes, especially for books that I'm going to be doing review videos on. So, but I would love any tips that you guys could help me with. So, question 4, how do you approach difficult or challenging material? Oh gosh, you guys, I read for pleasure. I know that I read a lot of classics on this channel, but I don't think exclusively. I don't pick those books up just because, well, some of those authors anyway, like I don't go, oh, this is a classic, this is a Penguin classic, so this is what I should read. Like, I read Dickens because I fell in love with Dickens, and yes, his books are published in classic editions, but I love Dickens. And so it's not hard for me to approach one of his books. There's a few, I think I have 4 Dickens books left to read, novels that I haven't, and a couple of them I'm nervous that I'm not going to like, but it's possible. I mean, I will always go in with an open mind. But yeah, I keep looking this way over here because this is where all of our Shakespeare is. And just a friendly reminder, in September, that is Shaktember, which is our month-long celebration of Shakespeare. I'm one of the hosts of that event, so I hope you will mark it on your calendar as something to participate in. But again, I don't read Shakespeare, and I know Shakespeare isn't really meant to be read, it's meant to be seen. It's meant to see it performed, right? I read Shakespeare because it's so exciting. It's so exciting, and I just want to share that excitement with you. But I don't read it because I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna read this because it's difficult or it's challenging. Those of you who've been watching my channel for a very long time, some of you from the beginning, will definitely notice some holes. Some authors that I tend to avoid, I get nervous about. There's some Victorians, there's some Russians that I just, they make me nervous. I haven't read them. So maybe that's my approach, is that I just avoid it. I will get to those books eventually. But yeah, I mean, it's just not the mindset that I go into a book with. It's like, oh, this is going to be a really difficult book. And so what do I need to do? Like, I don't do any research. I read 99.9% of the books that I read blind. I don't read the back. I don't read the introduction. I don't know anything about it. Like, nothing. Because I just want to go into it with an open mind and experience what this author has to say to me. I just want to add, if you feel as though you are not reading difficult or challenging books, do you feel like Booktube or other places are pressuring you to read those things? Or is it that those are just not books that you enjoy and you want to spend your, just think about it. I am not here to pressure you to read difficult or challenging books. And again, I think, there's a huge spectrum in Booktube of what we all would consider to be difficult or challenging books. So if you're not reading if you feel like you aren't reading difficult or challenging books, that's okay. I guess, but you need to ask yourself, are you okay? Like, you need to be okay with that. Don't be pressured into reading something that you just are going into kicking and screaming, because that won't be worthwhile either. Yeah, so remember to be kind to yourselves, okay? All right. Now, what role does note-taking and annotation play in your reading process? Absolutely none. Absolutely none. I don't annotate at all. I have no desire or interest to annotate. My husband would come unglued if he found out I was writing in our books. I think when it comes to books that I know I'm going to do a review of, I need to start taking notes maybe. But otherwise, yeah. There's only so many hours in the day, guys, that I can spend on that. And most of the time when I'm reading, it's just the sheer joy of it, right? Question 6. How do you balance reading for pleasure with reading for personal or professional development? I try to have a book on hand at home that is a professional development book, mainly in the winter, because if I get snowed into my house, I would like to be able to say, I'm doing professional development reading today, and those are my hours. And I will spend a lot of time reading whatever book that is. Of course, I will check my email, but even though I was at long last, given a laptop, I can't use it to work remotely. Don't ask me the point of it. I don't understand it. Maybe that'll change in the future. But yeah, so sometimes I'm just literally trapped at home. I can't leave because of the weather, and so therefore, like, I want to have something else on the side, so that I don't have to give up a vacation day, essentially, because I'm trapped by the weather. So that's how I balance that. And I would also advise all of you out there who ever have a boss come to you and say, I really want you to read this book. You should never read that book for nothing. That is part of your, like, you should be paid for the time that you spend reading a book that is required by your employer. Just my feelings about it. So, let's see. Question 7. What is the importance of setting reading goals? So, I think it's okay to set reading goals, but I also tend to forget what my goals are. I do watch my, like, 2024 goals video. Like, I will watch that periodically, just to see how I'm doing. But usually the big goals I do at the very beginning of the year, so that then I feel completely free, and whatever plans I have, I just I just roll with things. So I do have a Goodreads goal to read 50 books this year. I am 6 or 7 books behind that, maybe more by the time you see this. So I'm behind, but I'm also exactly where I was last year. So yeah, it's one of those things, like, it just is what it is. I don't get too concerned about the Goodreads goals. Like, it would be great if I read 50 books this year. If I don't, though, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. I have other, like, again, I set more Booktube kind of related goals. Like, this year my goal was to finish Anthony Trollope's The Barsetshire Chronicles, and so I had 3 books left in the series. I read 1 in January, 1 in February, and the biggest one of all in March, for March of the Mammoths. So yeah, I feel like that was a huge goal for me, and I'm super happy that I've accomplished that. Set goals, but, like, if you fail to meet them, like, it's a reading goal. Like, try not to take it too seriously. Okay. Question 8. What are some of the strategies for overcoming reading slumps or lack of motivation? So I went through a really long reading slump, like years. I was in, like, a several year long reading slump, and I still read, but I didn't read very much at all. And actually, it was starting my Booktube channel that really helped me get over that, because one thing I will say about having a Booktube channel is you really want to have something to talk to people about. so that motivates me, because I want to have something to share with you. I also got some great advice recently. I was in a slump. One of my nature books, and woman and animal books. And somebody suggested, like, you need to stop reading nonfiction. You need to read a novel, you know? And so I did. I read a middle grade fantasy book, which is really wildly different from what I normally read on this channel. And it was great. It was really helpful. It was good. That was great advice. I also think, in addition to those things, I think rereading, you know, finding one of your old favorite books. I've got Betty Smith back here behind me. I can always pick up A Tree Grows in Brooklyn and read that. So those are, yeah, some of my advice. Again, I'd love to hear from you. Like, what do you think is a strategy for overcoming a reading slump, or if you're not motivated to read? I also think sometimes if you're not motivated to read, it's okay. It's okay not to. So yeah, anyway, I look forward to hearing what you think about this, what your answers to some of these questions would be down in the comment section below. As always, if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can leave an emoji, or you can give this video a thumbs up, which really does help my channel. I do appreciate it. Booktube, the most important thing, more important than whether you're a serious reader or how to improve your reading, the most important thing is to be kind to yourself and to be kind to others. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.